Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
Tracy.
And I'm Val.
And welcome back, guys. How's it going?
Hi, friends.
It feels like I didn't see you guys for a year, but it's only been a week.
Yeah, every week feels like a year now.
It's true. Oh, what a week. It's only Wednesday, women. Yeah, I hear you. I was just looking at it. I was like, oh man, we did Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon last. That feels like it was a long time ago. And of course, Tracy, you weren't here with us.
I wasn't here.
We guessed that you
made fun of you.
We did a little bit.
That's okay.
Yeah. But we guessed that you'd give it pretty high marks. What would you give Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon for a letter grade?
Be in the A range. I didn't get a chance to re-watch it, so just going off of memory, but I'd be like probably A minus.
Yeah. We figured it would be that high. Val, I think you did a B, or was it B plus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
B.
Go back and watch it, folks.
I'm going off nostalgia, so I could very well have a lower grade rewatching it.
So yeah, it was funny because we talked about it when I watched it for the first time years and years ago when it came out. I thought it was really boring. And so I watched it this time and I still thought it was really long and boring, but I still think it's an amazing movie and I think everybody should go watch it. It's just one of those, like, to me, it's like The Mission, where it's a really good, solid movie and you should definitely see it, but it's not one that I'm just going to pop on and watch for fun.
I totally get that.
So,
but today's movie is one that you might.
I agree. Like, this is one of the most rewatchable movies I think out there. Especially, yes. I mean, sports movies in general, usually I can watch them over and over again. There's a few exceptions where they're a little heavy and I probably wouldn't watch them over and over again. But even the ones that aren't as much fun as this one, like Rudy isn't necessarily a fun movie, but I could watch it over and over again. Mm-hmm. But this movie is definitely, it's entertaining.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
Rudy has fun moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but
it's not a laugh a minute.
Right. Maybe like The Natural is more.
I mean, it's not a comedy. It's not a comedy.
Right. Yeah. Rudy's not a comedy. It's not a laugh a minute.
I feel like most sports movies that I love are not the serious ones. Like, I like the funny one, are not the funny ones. They're like the serious ones.
Yeah.
And I've tried to explain this to people in my life before because they're like, you don't even know football, or I kind of know a little bit about every sport, but I don't go out of my way to watch sports or play sports really. Mm-hmm. But I love sports movies. There is something about a sports movie that just makes me feel so good, even when I'm bawling my eyes out and you're going to do it every time. And I don't care that they're formulated. Like, most of them are so formulated, but I like it. I like to know that at the end, the team, the underdog team or person that I'm rooting for is going to win. It gives me this little security blanket of movie life that I like to hold on to.
Yeah.
Because then you watch a movie like Parasite and you're like, what? Then I could turn on a sports movie. I could turn on any sports movie and be like, everything's okay.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, like within minutes, you know who the underdog is, who you're going to be rooting for throughout the whole movie, and somehow in the end they're going to win or something, and it is comforting. It's comforting to watch a movie that start to finish how it's going to go and how it's going to play out, even if you've never seen it before.
Right.
There's a lot of comfort to that, and I think that that's something that right now, it's not a bad thing to watch a movie that's comfortable.
No, not at all.
No, they actually did it. There was a study that was done by, I think, Harvard recently that says people that watch the same movies over and over are usually people that are dealing with anxiety or depression, because you already know how the movie is going to end. So you feel more comfortable about watching those movies, and you're less likely to go see a new movie or start a new show because it's just like the anxiety of your life right now. So you don't want more of that. So like all of these shows on these streaming networks that are getting played over and over, and all of these old movies that are in the movie theaters right now, like it's just a big comfort blanket for the world. So take advantage of it, watch it. And I have to say, I'm swallowing my pride, guys. Jaws in the theater was freaking amazing.
It made me happy to hear you say that, for sure.
And remember, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it.
Right.
But
you always appreciated what
it was boring. Yeah.
No. It's again, it's like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where it's still it's a fantastic movie and you have to recognize the value of it. But I can understand if you've never seen Jaws in the theater, like it is a boring movie. It is slow compared to what we see for action movies today. But
I
in
totally
the theater,
disagree.
it was great.
I know you do, Jimmy.
In the theater, it was great.
Yeah.
But this was so fun because my boyfriend and I went, and there was probably maybe 12 other people in the theater, just scattered, right? And he'd never seen it in the theater either. And so we've got all of our popcorn and treats and everything, and we're just having a great time watching and I'm just like moving forward, back. I jumped at one point where the guy's head comes out of the thing and you don't know if it's him, right? But then when Jaws gets up on the boat, I literally started crying, and I just started going like this the rest of the night. I'm so scary. I'm going to eat you. Because I feel like he just does this a lot.
Can we make that a
The guy
GIF?
grabs.
Can we make that a
I don't
GIF?
know how to make that a GIF, but I'll try to figure it out. Because if we can get Val doing that, that'll be our first foray into the worlds of GIF.
That might be my favorite thing that's ever happened on this show. That might be my favorite thing ever on this show.
I know this is hard to believe. I was the loudest person in the theater, and I could not stop laughing.
We just lost Tracy.
Oh.
Hopefully he comes back.
Tracy had so much fun. He laughed himself out of the show.
That's it. It can't get any better. I'm out. That's as good as it's going to get.
I'm out.
So Steph, our good friend from Cutscenes and Cupcakes, is saying it's at the Redwood Drive-In now. I think she's talking about A League of Their Own. Steph, we need you to confirm if you're still watching, if that's what you're talking about.
Jaws is also there. Jaws is also at the drive-in, which I would actually go see it again at the drive-in so I could get that experience. That's how much I enjoyed it.
And League of Their Own is playing at the District right now.
Is it playing at the District right now?
Nice. Yes.
Well, that's perfect. They knew we were going to talk about it. Megaplex are good friends. We love Megaplex. Yep. They knew we were going to talk about it. So
we're like this. We're like this.
And Megaplex is offering free movie passes for August if you sign up for their rewards club.
Yeah, which is awesome. Like, just do it. Here's the thing. I get it. There are people who are not going to be comfortable going out right now, and I totally understand. And I'm not going to try to tell you to get out of that comfort zone in this particular instance. Sometimes I will tell you to get out of your comfort zone, but in this instance, I'm not. Because it's health and safety. Do what you're comfortable with. However, that being said, I've been to a couple of movies at Megaplex. They do a phenomenal job of trying to keep everybody clean and safe. And I would definitely recommend, if you're going to go and you feel comfortable, just go and do it. Find one of these movies that you love, because it is great. My wife and I went and saw Jurassic Park on the big screen. It holds up. It is so solid and so great and so enjoyable. Val had a great experience with Jaws. Like, there's just something about watching these classic movies on the big screen, and it reminds you why going to the movies was a big deal.
Right. Did we lose Val?
No, Val's maybe.
I'm right here.
She's there. You were frozen for a second. I mean, you looked good.
Yeah.
You weren't like frozen in a weird way.
I was going so fast. I was just moving so fast that you couldn't see me.
Chantrice is saying it's like we have connections or something as far as with Megaplex. We really had nothing to do with them playing A League of Their Own, but we're very happy that they are. Like, that's just but anyway, we do love Megaplex. They're great, and we definitely take the opportunity to go see some of these movies if you're comfortable with it, and they do a great job. And today we are talking about sports movies, which I love sports movies. We've talked about that. And A League of Their Own is a great, great movie. It
holds up really well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a period piece, so that helps. Like, anytime they're doing something from the past, it holds up a little bit better just because there's nothing that's going to take you out of the moment. But I think, even the way it's timed, the way it's written, all of it, just watching it again, it was enjoyable.
And based on this very cool and specific time in history that really no one had talked about, who would think it would be in a movie? It was very kind of in this knit circle of people, that really knew the history of it. And so it really kind of opened people's eyes to what was going on. And then as soon as the movie came out, like people were just like, I remember this. Like I started hearing stories from like every, person from that generation about how much it was so great and how much they loved it. And then, they shared more stories from that time. So I think it just really sparked a lot of history and a lot of chatter. And I have to say, I love the casting of this movie. It's like the island of misfit toys of casting, because like who would put this cast together and think that it would work, but it works it works so well.
So a friend of ours, James Thompson, posted on his Facebook feed. Well, James, we'll just call him James. I don't know why I felt like anyway, he posted on his Facebook feed some like little known facts about A League of Their Own. It was just funny because we had just posted that we were talking about this. Again, everybody must pay attention to our show because, they're playing the movie back in theaters for us. They're posting about it for us.
Don't really you know who we are, Jake?
Yeah, we're a big deal. We are a big deal. But
get on the train and ride it.
That's right. The MMU train, the movies that make us train.
You can jump like Jaws onto that train.
Choo-choo. Yeah, if you want to get on the train like that, like if it's pulling out of the station, you need to get on, just like leave. And it's important to know that the way it works is the train leaves, not the station. Like that's important to understand when you're talking about trains.
A nice reference to the movie.
Thank you.
Well
done. It felt a little forced, but I still felt like it fit a little bit there. So
it flowed for me, bud.
But talking about the casting of this movie, there were a couple of things that were shared. This was an article on Ranker, so take it for what it's worth because it's on the internet, so it may or may not be true. But some of the things they talked about is the way that they did the casting. They wanted to make sure that the women that were on these baseball teams looked like they could play baseball. So it wasn't like they did it almost like a baseball team tryout where they looked at how they looked throwing and catching. So it looks as legitimate as possible. So even they had some people try out who just didn't look good playing baseball. So they didn't make the cut for the movie. And I thought that was an interesting way to go. And then I guess Rosie O'Donnell shared a story on her show that right before she was cast in this movie, she saw Madonna's documentary that was in theaters. I can't remember but
it's not necessary.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, but her boyfriend was telling her, because this was during a time when she was dating men. Rosie O'Donnell said her boyfriend said, "Yeah, you and Madonna would be really good friends in real life," and she kind of just laughed it off, and then found out that Penny Marshall had cast Madonna to be her best friend and that they were going to be playing together, and their chemistry was really, really good. I think Rosie and Madonna played really well off of each other, and I know that some of the things I've heard is on set, Rosie O'Donnell was not intimidated by Madonna and would like sing her songs to her.
Yeah, they became like really good friends, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, which is great because they are very different people. And I was like,
are they
become friends? I don't know. Well, I mean, number one, they're obviously different. They're pretty different. I don't know. Maybe they're not.
Well, originally, they Rosie O'Donnell auditioned for Marla.
Oh, really?
She was almost cast as Marla, and then I can't remember the other actress's name. She came in and did the audition, and they loved her so much, but they loved Rosie that they actually like had to rework the script to fit Rosie to give her a new character.
Yeah. See, and I liked her character quite a bit because she's a little bit more tough talking, a little bit like Rosie plays that a lot better. I think the actress who played Marla was great, much more soft spoken, much quieter. And I don't know that Rosie would have pulled that off as well.
I agree with that.
So, and Gina Davis, this was probably the movie where I started to have a crush on Gina Davis was A League of Their Own. Because she was pretty amazing in this movie, and my little teenage self thought she was pretty amazing. So,
my 17-year-old self agreed with you.
I thought she was pretty amazing, even right now. So
she's definitely not amazing. But this movie was where I think I first became aware of Gina Davis.
For me, it was Thelma and Louise. I was like, hey.
Well, and that makes sense on a certain level, don't you think? I mean,
yeah,
sure, that works.
Just trying to make it more awkward. That's my job. That's why you guys hired me. That's what I'm here for.
It's true.
Yeah. She does the plot better than any of us. Let's be honest.
It's because I'm so short.
There are many.
This is going to be interesting for those listening to the podcast and not watching it.
Well, yeah. For those just listening, she's flopping around like a
plastic shark. Like a
homicidal shark. Homicidal shark.
So, not to get too far away from this, just a side note, since we brought up sharks again, Shark Week is next week.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will be posting my top 5 shark movies that you should watch to get ready for Shark Week. And I'm sorry, Jimmy Dugan, there is no Sharknado in there.
I was going to say, we need a gift of like somebody constantly refreshing the page, because that'll be Tracy waiting for Sharknado to be listed in your top 5.
Makes me sad.
I'm sorry.
I won't be posting my top 5 shark movies next week, but Sharknado also would not be in my top 5. And I don't even know if I could list 5 other movies.
I love sharks and I love Shark Week.
They have Mike Tyson versus Jaws.
Oh, that's exciting.
I have no idea what it is. Probably just him in a cage, but they're promoting it pretty heavy.
Just him in a cage. So just on another Tuesday, really.
I don't know where to go from there. Tyson in a cage,
Gina Davis.
boxing a shark.
Gina Davis.
She was brilliant. I love Dottie. Great character. Jimmy Dugan's character was fantastic. And all of these characters, so I didn't know this necessarily growing up, but all of these characters are based on like a combination of a bunch of different stories and characters from the league. So while this is like there was an All-American Girls Baseball League, but it wasn't. This isn't one story that this is based on, but a lot of different stories from that they kind of put into the movie and put into the script.
It's like the Moana of baseball movies. You can't represent just one team. You've got to put it all in there and mix it all up.
Right. Except not based on like mythology and gods and stuff, but more
their culture. I'm talking about their culture. Yes. It's not based on one culture. They're representing many cultures.
Like Canadians, Irish ones, Swedes.
Burn.
It wasn't a burn. Sorry. Wow. It's been a while since all 3 of us have been together.
Yeah, it feels like a year, like but weeks. Really, just like one.
Jimmy Dugan was great in this. I love Tom Hanks in this. He played the part so well. I mean,
I don't know if you could make this film with this script nowadays. Do you guys? There were a couple times where I was like, "Ooh."
Well, but I mean, it's a period piece, so based on you know the time. Yeah, somebody's gonna get offended because everybody get offended about everything. But I feel like when you're in a period piece, you need to represent the period. Like when there's a movie made about July of 2020, there better be people wearing masks. Like there better be people fighting people because they don't want to wear masks. Like that's just like you've got to represent the time. And that's when I think it's okay to do what was going on. When you're doing it right now and representing right now, then no, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. And that's where it gets hard with anything historical because we don't want to glorify stuff that is inappropriate or that we would think is inappropriate. But at the same time, we don't want to erase it either. And I think that's a fine line. And I don't think this movie necessarily glorifies. I mean, like, yeah, obviously a lot of the ideas, they were very sexist and things like that. But that's like,
these were tough women.
Reality. Yeah, they
like,
totally.
I loved how in this period of time where women were really just expected to take care of the family, the home, the husband, like these women stepped out of that And really, I mean, to step into something like that at that period of time, your family's not necessarily going to agree with you, and you can be ridiculed and left, from your friend group, which was very important back then, was, who the people that you kept around you, because that declared your jobs, where you lived, everything. And so I was just it's a very female empowering movie, but also empowering to every person that has been kind of told you shouldn't do that, because it also, there's a time in the movie where it represents a whole bunch of people of color that had to sit on the sidelines and that weren't allowed to play, so they kind of bring that, into the circle a little bit. They touch on it. So I think
kind of want a sequel. I kind of want a sequel where we get that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the African American woman throws the ball back to her and they're impressed with how she threw it. I kind of want to know that story too.
And it's interesting you bring that up, Val, because I think it was hard for people to envision women as baseball players. But what's interesting about this time is, this is a time that you've got like Rosie the Riveter and things like that, where women are stepping into a lot of the factory and manufacturing jobs because there just weren't enough men, because they were all off fighting in the war. And that's fine. They can go to work. They can do these things because the country needs them to do that. But somehow playing baseball, that's crossing a line into masculinity that you're not allowed to cross. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
right.
Weird standard.
Yes and no, but the only reason that they were working is because they were being allowed to work. So I think in society's eyes is that as soon as the men came back, the women would go back home, put their dresses back on, take their shoes off, and be barefoot in the kitchen. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I was just barefoot cooking in the kitchen 20 minutes ago, and I absolutely enjoyed myself. What I'm saying is that they didn't really have the choice. And so this movie really very subtly, not stuffing it down your throat, shows you that there were men during that time that really saw the vision of that women were equal, because they weren't being treated as equal. They were, and then there were men that they couldn't handle it. They could not handle their wife being more successful than them, having something more than just the home to think about. And could you imagine being a woman that was only told since you were born and growing up that you're going to get married, you're going to have babies, you're going to bake cakes, right? And then all of a sudden you're thrown into a baseball game, or you're thrown into, the workforce, and you get there and you're empowered with this. You wouldn't want to leave. I mean, I know a lot of women now wouldn't want to do that, but at the time, it was just then telling those women to go back to doing that. There were some women that were very happy, but then there was like a light switch that went on for others. And you could see that in this movie with these characters. Like the baseball was what made these women happy. It was their inspiration and their lifeline. But then they're like, okay, but put on a skirt while you're doing it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you gotta have proper lady training.
Yeah.
I need proper lady training, really. Like, who are we kidding?
Yeah. But they had the escorts, right? Like the chaperones, not escorts, but chaperones that would escort them in. They had to a specific place where they were to stay and to live, and to make sure that they were in by a certain time and not fraternizing. Tell me a men's baseball team where they care at all about what you're doing when you're not playing.
They're bringing the escorts to you. I mean, the chaperones.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want to talk about a double standard.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was the expectation. Yeah, you're going to play baseball, but you're still going to act like a lady. Nobody cares what guys do. Right. I mean, for the most part, as long as they're standing up, they don't really care what they do. But
and I think it's interesting too, because the actresses had to play games in those outfits, and those bruises
were real.
That giant one, excuse me, that giant one on her thigh, that took a year to go away.
That's awesome. That just makes me love her even more.
Right? Mike, that is bad.
Yeah, that's there's a reason why you shouldn't play in skirts for baseball, because I mean, not that those bruises wouldn't happen, but it would be a lot less.
Oh, the rash, the rash, man, just the sliding.
Yeah.
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 Drafty.
But I like the fact that all the actresses, they like, from what I hear, the casting was over 2,000 women that they auditioned, and they had to actually play, and they played. I think I read somewhere it was like 8-hour practices, 6 days a week for like 7 weeks to get ready.
Yeah.
So these girls,
they really look like a team.
And the lady who played Kit did more pitches than a major league player would do an entire season during the filming of this movie. So major props to those ladies.
Yeah, she did a good job being annoying. Oh my gosh. Kit is like my least favorite.
But probably she's justified.
No, I get it. For me, it was because like I have an older sister and I'm like the shorter one and she's the taller, like more talented one. So I think there's also that relatable story as well, because I'm just like, well, why don't I get to? And I'm like, she's annoying. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's me. Yeah.
So one of the best lines in the movie came from an experience that one of the writers had meeting Neil Simon's mother, who introduced his brother as, oh, well, this is Neil Simon's brother. And so they wrote that in the script. It says, haven't you ever noticed how mom and dad introduce us to people? This is my daughter, Dottie. And this is my other daughter, Dottie's sister. And like, like growing up in that kind of a shadow, of course you're going to be annoying. And of course you're going to be annoyed. And I think she played the part really, really well.
Yeah.
Whether you liked her or not, I think she really did a good job portraying the character of always wanting to prove something.
She's relatable, and you got to walk a fine line when you're playing that type of character, because you can't be super annoying to the fact where you're alienating the audience. The audience has to feel empathy for this character.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want it to come across as just whiny and like, come on, just not suck it up.
Just stop it. And
I don't think he does.
It's on the edge, but I don't think it does either.
Yeah. And we'll still never know, looking at their rivalry, whether Dottie dropped the ball on purpose or not.
What do you think? Yeah. It's like the Inception top.
Yeah, I know. You just don't know. You don't know because it just leaves it hanging.
We need to know. Yeah, I don't think we should know.
Yeah. End of the day, it doesn't really matter, right? But it kind of does. I guess it doesn't.
I loved all the like cute songs that they all had. Like it just seemed like summer camp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in my experience going to an all-girls summer camp, that's exactly what we did.
I've never gone to summer camp, but I was living vicariously through them.
I did a Boy Scout.
I wish I would have gone to summer camp.
I did a boys summer camp. Didn't get a chance to do the girl one.
My sister got to go to summer camp.
Of course she did. Of course she did. Yeah, I would imagine in an all-boys summer camp, Tracy, they didn't do a lot of the songwriting, though.
No. There was a lot of collapsing each other's tents and farting. And,
definitely a lot of farting. We called them barking spiders, but, I mean, we all knew what it was.
You'd wrap plastic around, like saran wrap around a stick and then set it on fire and just let it melt and drip. And
well, and basically anything we could set on fire, we set on fire.
We did.
That was kind of, we could put this in the fire.
Let's do it.
Did you ever have the opportunity to go on a snipe hunt? I know this is a different movie now, but we did.
I did, although hunting. I knew what the snipe hunt was, and I went along with it just to play around with them, and then I left and went back to camp.
See, I didn't know, and they wanted me to do a snipe hunt, and they're like, "Oh, it's really cool if you get." And like, I was like, I have no interest in catching whatever this thing is. I don't like. You can leave it out there. I'm going to bed. I'm not getting up in the middle of the night to do this. But anyway, sorry. Good summer camp memories. I hated camping. Still do, actually.
I liked this movie for Tom Hanks because at the time this movie had come out, he really hadn't played anything but like the basic Tom Hanks character. Yep. And then you got to this movie, and there are points in this movie where you're kind of like, really? Like, because he's just like drunk and being
he's just
rude
scratching himself.
And you're just, and it was so great. because it was opposite of everything that we had seen, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
This was the bosom buddies, Splash, that type of era.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to think this came out in 92. I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Man,
I think that was the last time we were all together.
I think it was. I think it was. It was actually we saw this movie together, and we are talking about it.
So, can we all agree that this is Madonna's best film?
Yes.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about what is the competition exactly. I mean, there's Dick Tracy.
Desperately Secret.
Sorry.
Desperately Seeking
I have
Susan.
really bad.
Yes.
Really bad
Dick
allergies,
Tracy.
sorry.
There's a
that
really
girl?
bad one with Sean Penn. Who's that girl?
Who's that girl was amazing. Who's
That's
that
true.
girl? You
But
should
I
know,
just thought
Tracy.
she
There's
was-
a song.
She was fantastic in this, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed rewatching this with her in it.
Yeah. For whatever reason, it had the right.
Evita.
Evita.
Tracy said Evita. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she was in Evita. I mean, and she was fine. But I think she was better in this. Like I honestly
think
it's my favorite role of hers.
Yeah. I think there's just enough Madonna in this movie. Like it's just the right amount.
Right. And evidently on set, she would get upset when she wasn't getting enough screen time, and was kind of difficult to deal with, which I could see. That doesn't surprise me.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, but somebody should have let her know before they started filming that she didn't get one of the leads, so she wasn't going to be on screen as much as Kit and Dottie's character.
But she's Madonna.
No, I get it. But Penny needed to let her know. Listen, Mad.
Can you Vogue while doing the shark jump?
I was actually doing Madonna. That was from a different movie. But yes,
Can you Vogue while doing the shark jump?
Perfect.
I am talented when it comes to ridiculous nonsense that will never get me paid.
I think all three of us can pretty much put ourselves in that kind of a quote. Doing ridiculous. This whole show is based on doing ridiculous nonsense for which we'll never get paid. Unless someone out there wants to be a sponsor, then hook us up.
Yeah,
please let us know.
Yeah, we would love it. Like you don't even have to pay a lot to be our sponsor. We're cheap.
No.
Yeah.
And easy.
We're cheap and easy.
Yeah.
High fives.
That was nice. That was a good solid three-way air five there.
That needs to be on our new shirt. Movies that make us cheap and easy.
We need to make sure that it's like a colon though, like movies that make us cheap and easy. Not like we don't want people to think that we just talk about movies that make you cheap and easy.
That would be a really well-watched episode.
Might be some viewers.
Yeah, it might be.
We're expanding our audience, Jake.
Oh, the side characters in this movie were amazing.
John Lovitz was made for this role.
Oh my gosh.
They wrote this role for him.
In this role.
They did. They wrote the role for him.
He was so good. And to find out, as I was doing a little research, that the pickle tickle line was completely improvised by him just made me so happy. I remember as a kid watching this movie, I had no idea what a pickle tickle was, but when I realized what it was, I was like, oh, his pickle. Like, I got it. I'm not going to explain it here because everybody knows, but that's one of my favorite lines from this movie. Go home, see the wife, give her a little pickle tickle.
When they're in the barn and he improvised the line, "Will you shut up?" talking to the cow. The cow was giving birth.
Oh,
yeah.
The cow was literally giving birth, and that's why it was so loud.
Chantrice, here you go. Even before we read your comment, we are talking about the scout, John Lovitz.
Yeah.
We are
this
on
is
it.
the thing
like
about John Lovitz is if you're going to have him in a movie, you don't want to give him like too many lines. You want to give him an idea of what you want him to do, and then you just want his brilliance to happen is what you want.
Yeah,
This is the problem with network television, censoring out some of the best lines of a movie. Let me tell you, I watched one of the first times I saw Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was on network TV, and they censored out the Between Two Pillows line, which is the best line in the whole movie.
Those aren't pillows.
Like, just fantastic. And it was gone.
Real quick, if you're going to censor, just leave it out. Don't try and dub something else in. The worst one ever is Snakes on a Plane, where instead of saying, I'm tired of these bleeping snakes on this bleeping plane, they dub it, and it's, I'm tired of these monkey fighting snakes on a Monday to Friday plane. And it's not the same.
No, it totally isn't. Number one, who had the bright idea to say, hey, let's go ahead and censor Snakes on a Plane? Like, man, here you go.
That's
Here's
a lot
your
of
time
work.
to censor this movie. Oh my God. All right, I'll be back in a couple of weeks here. Like,
Pickle Tickle.
Pickle Tickle's just, it's hilarious. John Lovitz, I mean, the train moves, not the station is another great line. Like, just the way he talks to these women. I mean, and what's great is obviously it's not very respectful, but then you realize like that's how he would have been talking to the boys that he was scouting for baseball teams.
He treats them exactly like he would treat anyone else in his life. And that's why I love him so much. He doesn't care who they are. They're out there to play baseball. He's there to do a job. He doesn't care. Like, as long as they're, gonna do a good job, then great.
Right.
And we see that again and again with another one of my favorite lines from the movie when Tom Hanks is just yelling about there's no crying in baseball. That lady is just are you crying? There's no crying in baseball.
I'm sorry.
After he's yelled at her about use your head, it's that lump that's 3 feet above your butt. I'll give the KSL version, your bottom. And she starts crying, and he's like, are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball. I quote that to my kids all the time. I said to my 4-year-old the other day, and he's like, Dad, I'm not playing baseball. This isn't baseball. But
I always just change it. There's no crying in the elevator. There's no crying at school. There's no crying at church. You can just change it for anything. But the funny thing is, there is crying in baseball. I have seen, oh my gosh, my boyfriend just walked in. I have seen grown men cry over baseball games. So Tom Hanks is a liar because there is crying in baseball, especially in Vegas. I'm just saying.
Most of them a couple of years ago were Cubs fans that were crying during baseball because they never won anything. Cubs fans, White Sox fans.
It's interesting too how different baseball is in the United States these days. It's nowhere near what it was when I was a kid, and that's nowhere near what it was back before.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
What used to be the national pastime has definitely lost a lot of its luster. I mean, I don't know where the interest went or why, but it just seems like there's not the same draw to baseball that there used to be. I agree. When I was growing up, it was a big deal. Yeah, I all went to football, except now nobody watches football anymore either, apparently, which isn't true, but that's what people say. And now basketball, you can't watch that either because it got too political. And so,
yeah,
I don't know what's left. Tennis? Is tennis political? Can someone check on that? Has anybody done anything offensive in tennis?
Cricket.
I'm looking around to have people check on that.
Cricket is totally offensive. What are you talking about?
I don't know how cricket works. I think that's the problem. That was the cutest little sneeze I've ever heard on the air. That was
adorable.
Excuse me.
That was for those listening at home. That was Tracy who sneezed.
Jobs busted, fellow adult.
But no, I agree, Tracy. Like baseball, like it used to be such a big deal, and every town had their own team and everything else. Like not necessarily a major league team, obviously, but like a big team or and now it's not like that, and it just changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I think as a result of baseball being such a big deal, we got some really great movies out of it, like A League of Their Own, Field of Dreams, The Natural, The Sandlot, which we're talking about in a couple of weeks. Like there are a lot of really good baseball movies, which is you talk about not necessarily understanding or knowing a lot about sports, knowing a little bit about each sport.
Yeah, I just don't pay attention. Like I know how each game is won, and I know their costumes are really cute. And I like to go to like live
uniforms, but no, costumes are fine.
I like to go to live sports. Any live sports, I like going to it. I really love like the eating of the food and the friends and the cheering and all of that. But like watching it on TV, I'm just like, meh.
See, my dad is a huge baseball fan, and he was all growing up. And I watched a lot of these baseball movies growing up because he was so big into baseball. But then when I would try to sit down and actually watch a baseball game, I was like, I'm just not interested in this. There was none of the drama in a baseball game like you see in a movie. You don't get any of the back.
I can watch baseball in the ninth inning. If it's like the bottom of the ninth, then I'll tune in. But otherwise, I just can't do it. And I'll watch basketball. I'll watch football. I don't like soccer. Don't like baseball.
I've grown to appreciate soccer a little bit more after spending some time in Germany.
I could never do it, but I just can't get into it.
But I agree. And I think one of the things that basketball and football
like badminton.
Badminton's a great choice.
What about croquet?
Well, people that play croquet are like bougie.
Yeah. As we've seen on Heather's, for example.
Yeah, I don't want to die.
Go back and watch our episode on Heather's to find our thoughts on croquet. We'll post the link.
Our good friend Eileen Dobbins was on that episode.
And she's still our good friend, I hope.
I think so.
After the episode. But baseball's just one I can't watch. And I think what helps me with basketball and football is I know how long the game is going to be. I know how much time is left. Baseball, you don't know.
Right.
It's 9 innings, and those innings could take as long as a football game each. They feel like
and it can go longer. They could do extra innings on you.
Right. If they tie at the end, then they've got to do extra innings. I'm like, no, listen, I just sat through 9 of these innings where nobody's scoring more than the other person. Let's just call it a tie. Obviously, they're equally good. Both teams are equally good.
So there are two things that I want to bring up. One, I think this is interesting, is they had to entertain the people, because you guys know how long it takes to set up a scene or a shot during a film, right?
Well, I don't. But
it takes a long time. The phrase is hurry up and wait. Everybody's always in a rush, and then you're just waiting forever while they're setting stuff up. And they had these extras in the stands in Indiana where they were playing. In Indiana in the summer is not real comfortable. And so they got like entertainment from the actors. Like Tom Hanks would do puppet shows, which I'm like, I really want to be able to see that. But like Madonna would come out and sing, and Rosie O'Donnell would do stand up.
She didn't do like her character suggested, where she just like came out and like, and then oops, it just like
her bosoms just pop out.
I mean, it just happens sometimes.
Am I right? Seriously.
I've heard rumors, and I can imagine, like, I don't understand how it doesn't happen more often than it actually does, to be honest, with some of the stuff that people wear. And that's not me trying to be anything weird or anything. I just really don't understand the physics behind a lot of the clothing sometimes. So
I'm going to sit back and let Jake just run with this one.
I sit there. I put it out there. It was a completely innocent, fine comment. I don't know what the problem is.
And then you just kept going.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the pee scene.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so great.
Please, let's move to a more comfortable subject. Let's talk about peeing. Yes.
Because to me, that's one of the funniest parts of the movie. Like Tom Hanks' facial expressions. And I'm going to say it. Sometimes when you really have to pee and you finally get to go, you just, it's like, you're so happy.
It's true. Like it's just very, it is. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that scene goes on for 53 seconds.
In all honesty, though, that scene, because that's like the first time you see his character.
Right.
And the first interaction he has with the team, and he just comes in, and that's what he does. Like, they could not have done anything to set up his character at that point in the film better than that. Like, it totally gives you, like, immediately from that scene, you know what his character is like at that time in the movie. And obviously he grows, and we see a lot of growth, and we see him, become better. But at that point,
that's exactly what he'd do if there was a room full of male baseball players.
Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't care.
So doesn't matter if they're women. And I love the fact that Penny Marshall actually was on set in the stall next to him and had a hose and a bucket and was doing the sounds. And then Tom Hanks is acting off of the sounds that she's making. So when it pauses, then he's like, are we done? And then it starts up again. That was Penny Marshall doing all that, which I love. I think that's great. So he had to react to what's happening.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure, though, if women think that, anyway, it doesn't matter that it equates to that size.
We don't really care. Like, we're not measuring you based on the amount of pee that comes out of you at one time, ever. That's not ever anything that we care about.
Girls in high school told me that all the time. Like, how long can you pee? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like average time. And they're like, no, we're looking for somebody that can pee a minute or more at a time.
They weren't thinking long, like the range you can pee.
No, it was strictly just a time.
Where did you go to school? Are you just kidding? Because that's
of course I'm just kidding. Nobody is ever.
Did you go to school did you go to school in Draper? Because this sounds like Draper shenanigans.
It does sound like Draper shenanigans. We'll say that. No, I did not go to school in Draper. It was in Sandy.
Oh man, I'm crying.
It's close to Draper, so it's a fine line.
So let's grade the movie.
Jake doesn't know where to go now.
Let's grade it. Let's for
sure. What would you grade this movie, Tracy? We'll start with you.
It's extremely watchable. It's very light. It's fun. The casting is phenomenal. I felt like the editing was a little bit slower paced, and I get that because baseball is, and the time period, usually when you have a movie set in that time period, it's a little bit slower. I'd probably be like a B+, A- right in there.
Okay. What about you, Val?
Yeah, I was about in the same range. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do an A- or a B+. I thought the story was great. I thought, the cinematography was great. The coloring of that movie was so much fun. The sound of that movie, both the soundtrack, the score, and all of the effects that they put in that movie just to make you feel, the time frame and everything is fantastic. There were a couple of parts that I think they could have cut out or tightened up a little bit, but I can watch this movie anytime it's on. So, I'll stick to an A-. I'll do an A- for this one for sure.
I think I'm solid A- on this as well. Just, if nothing else, the nostalgia for me when I watch it again, it brings back all the feels of growing up and watching it and enjoying it, which just goes to show you, yes, teenage boys will watch movies with strong female characters and enjoy them just as much as anything else, because I enjoy this as much as the other sports movie that I've seen. So many great lines. I love the "There's no crying in baseball." I love the scene where Stillwell Angel's walking behind there. "You're gonna lose," and he's like, "We're gonna win. We're gonna win." There are just some really great moments in this movie, and it's one that anytime it's on, I could sit down and watch it at any point and watch it till the end with no problem. So yeah, A- for me as well. And the other
line.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jake.
Oh, I was going to wrap it up. So what's the other line that you?
I was just going to say the other line that I love too, that I use a lot, is when the guy is heckling the ladies, and she throws the pitch right at him, and then she's like, "What? It slipped." I don't know what happened.
I don't know. There are just so many great moments in it. This is a great time to go watch it because it is on the big screen in a number of places that we've talked about at the beginning. And you should definitely go check it out. Great thing about going to a movie theater right now, the tickets are probably a little bit cheaper than you would normally pay for
$5 on a Friday night. $5 a piece on a Friday night at the Megaplex to see Jaws. It was amazing.
See? And that's a great thing. But here's a secret for you. Movie theaters, they don't profit a ton off of ticket sales. They profit off the concessions. So go and buy popcorn and treats and things like that. Make a night of it because they're hurting right now, especially local ones like Megaplex. I mean, they are. So
and I
if
want
you
to see
can,
Mulan on the big screen, so go spend some money.
And tomorrow, make sure
some people can't right now either.
Yeah.
Make sure you tune in tomorrow for Cast Off. Val is making her semifinal appearance.
I had to recast the Muppet movie as real live action characters. And I have to say, you guys, my list is a little bit controversial, but I'm going with it. So, yeah, I might lose.
I'm very excited to see what you picked.
I'm excited to watch you win tomorrow, Val. I have all the confidence in the world in you.
Love you, Patrick. But Val, you got this.
Patrick is a wild card, and he's got this young, like agile brain that goes off into these weird corners of the movie world that I don't even think about. And so he's going to come in with something really fantastic that I would have been like, oh. So I don't know. We'll see.
Steve Condrick would like to say that Val's going to win it all.
Woo! You know, it would be crazy if it's me and Val in the finals.
That's what I picked. I picked an all movies that make us final.
I'm going up against Randy Yarborough. I don't know my movie yet. I'll find out tomorrow.
Steve.
You beat me, and I'm amazing.
You are amazing, Steve. You are.
We love you, Steve.
Really good
I like how you slide into that, like backslide into like, and I'm amazing.
You beat me. And I'm amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think nice. Steve will be happy with at least 65% of my choices.
Well, I'm hoping that the judges are happy with 100% of your choices.
Me too.
That would be
wipe
nice.
The floor with him.
But I
no
did.
Mercy.
And here's the great thing: if it is an all movies that make us final, the day before the final, we are going to have Craig and Alan from Matinee Heroes on our show.
That's
so
right.
That would be kind of fun because you guys could trash talk each other.
And it's my birthday week, so I'll win.
And it's your birthday week. Yep.
That's right.
And I'm the only one competing with a vagina, so I'm just saying.
Jake is gone. Jake's gone.
There's nowhere I can go with that. That's not going to end up putting my foot in my mouth. So I'm going to stop.
I'll help you. Ready?
All right.
Okay.
So you can never mind. I was going to say something that I'm not going to say. I might tell you guys.
You got to tell us off air.
Yeah.
We got to know off air.
That's for sure. But you can watch Val tomorrow night on Cast Off. Go give her support. She needs the movies that make us community behind her.
That's right.
I mean, at this point, the picks are already made, but still, it's good to have that moral support as you're on the show. It's tomorrow, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I believe. So,
yeah, correct.
And as Steve has pointed out here, again, Steve, you're coming up with all the great one-liners here at the end. That's the secret to her power. It's the movies that make us community. I 100%.
I don't think that's what he meant.
I don't think so either.
That's what I'm going with. Steve. I'm not going to let you correct it. We're done. That's what we're going with. Secret to her power is the movies that make us community, not anything else that we mentioned.
It's a medical term. It's okay. It's a medical term.
Maybe it's my shark flop.
If you have any feedback for the show, you can send that to podcast@moviesthatmakeus.com. You can also comment on this post on Facebook, as well as we're going to have it up on YouTube. We love to hear your comments. And next week,
we are going to be
back with more sports stuff, and we're going to be talking about The Last Dance. So that is a documentary series. It's on Netflix. It's about Michael Jordan. I mean, it was a small deal. I don't know that anybody's heard of it. So I just want to make sure you guys know what it is.
Who's that? Who are we talking about?
He was a basketball player.
Michael guy. Michael B. Jordan?
Different Michael Jordan.
Michael Jackson?
Oh, gosh, I hope
That's
not.
different
I hope not.
No, but Last Dance, it's topical. It should be fun. I think all of us lived the whole Jazz Bulls finals, and so we know the heartache. It was hard to watch as a Jazz fan, but
I was wearing a Bulls jacket, so
I liked MJ, so I was cheering for him.
Well, it was hard for me to watch.
Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and we will Not see you at the movies. We won't see you at the movies. That's what I say. All right. Bye.